Bring you some breaking news now coming out of the US, where the US president says an agreement has been reached for a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Our chief US correspondent, Alan Fisher, joins us now from Washington, D.C. So what details is Donald Trump saying about this ceasefire agreement?
Well, you remember at the top of the hour we were talking and confirming that there had been a conversation between the Lebanese president and Donald Trump. He had been trying to get some sort of ceasefire. The idea was that he would get both the leader of Lebanon and Benjamin Netanyahu on the phone and they would agree to that. Now, Donald Trump has, just in the last few minutes, put a post on Truth Social. We're going to put it up on screen so you can read it. What he is actually saying is this, that he's just had a conversation, an excellent conversation, with the highly respected President Joseph Aoun of Lebanon and Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu of Israel. These two leaders have agreed that in order to achieve peace between their two countries, they will formally begin a 10-day ceasefire at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so in about 5.5 hours' time. On Tuesday, the two countries met for the first time in 34 years here in Washington, D.C. with our great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. I've directed Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Rubio, together with the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Raisin-Kane, to work with Israel and Lebanon to achieve a lasting peace. It has been my honour to solve 9 wars across the world, and this will be my 10th, so let's get it done in capital letters. Donald Trump clearly wanted this peace deal. He knows it's a significant demand by the Iranians as they go into the idea of another round of peace talks. My understanding is that the intention was Donald Trump would get both leaders on the phone and they would speak directly to one another. The Lebanese president refused to do that until there was a ceasefire. So it appears that in a series of conversations, and we're waiting for confirmation from the White House about that this morning in the Oval Office, where Donald Trump still is at the moment, clearly there was a ceasefire agreed between both parties at separate points, and Donald Trump has decided to announce it. So from 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is in about 5 hours and 19 minutes, there should be a ceasefire in southern Lebanon, which Donald Trump says he has successfully brokered.
Alan, just to clarify, because in the tweet that's written, and we've got it now up on the screen, Donald Trump is saying they will formally begin a 10-day ceasefire at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, right? So that's in 5 days.
I'm just looking at it now because obviously this has all been a bit rushed. No, on Tuesday, they met for the first time in Washington, D.C.
I see.
So the ceasefire begins at 5 p.m., but on Tuesday, the two countries met for the first time here at the State Department in Washington. So, yeah, I can see why there is a slight confusion, but no, the ceasefire will kick in at 5 o'clock. So in just over 5 hours' time in Beirut, 5 o'clock here in Washington is when the ceasefire will start, and it will be 10 days.
OK, thanks for clarifying that. Then what are they saying? I know this is all unraveling and this, you know, there's a lot to take in. But the question, at least, that comes to the mind, I think, of many will be what is expected to happen in the 10 days? Since this is not a ceasefire, this is only a ceasefire for 10 days. Is the expectation that the two sides who hadn't had any official contact for 34 years until Tuesday, now are expected within 10 days to reach a final peace deal?
Well, I think what they're looking at is taking it one step at a time. And we've seen this in peace deals all around the world. If you do this, then we'll do that. Then you do A, and then we'll do B. It is a case of sequencing these things. And the first order of business, obviously, is to get a ceasefire. And ceasefires can be extended. They can also be broken, but they can be extended. Clearly, the Lebanese president was not prepared to speak to Benjamin Netanyahu, despite an earlier social media post from Donald Trump saying the two of them were going to talk. It was clear that until there was a ceasefire, it's not something that Joseph Aoun was ready to entertain. So he spoke to Marco Rubio earlier this morning here in Washington, and then there was the call with the Oval Office. And at that point, it's clear that Joseph Aoun may have said absolutely not until there's a ceasefire. That would suggest we may well very soon get a readout from the White House that there had been a conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu. You know, in international diplomacy, sometimes you announce things before you tell people you're announcing them, and that is always a possibility with Donald Trump. You're starting a ceasefire now. And so we'll wait and see how that plays out over the coming hours. But it's clear there have been talks in the Oval Office in the last couple of hours that have led to this announcement from Donald Trump that there will be a ceasefire starting. Just to recap, ceasefire starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, Thursday. So it's getting closer every time, but 5 hours and 14 minutes.
So it's a matter of hours before this ceasefire kicks in. Thank you, Alan, for clarifying and bringing us up to speed. Just to recap for viewers, what we're looking at is an announcement by the US president of a 10-day ceasefire that's in the conflict in Lebanon, where Israel, of course, has been conducting attacks and strikes as part of its occupation and invasion there. Now Donald Trump saying a 10-day ceasefire begins at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 5 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States of America. A matter of hours away that a ceasefire begins in Lebanon.